What does that sound, you ask?
From the number one station, you come.
Welcome to the Rec Show podcast, a show dedicated to beatmakers around the world. Kick back, relax with the host Golden Mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the main event of the evening.
Yeah, peace and love, everybody. I hope everybody's counting their blessings and not their problems. Yo, welcome to another episode of the Rec Show podcast. Man, we are kicking this episode off right away with Hexagon. You know what I mean? That's the name of this producer. And the name of the track is called Purpose Instrumental from the Beat Tape Co-op 15-year anniversary collab beat tape, man. Yo, if y'all don't know about Beat Tape Co-op, that's where every, you know what I mean, you want instrumental projects, you want beat tapes, this is the blog, man. Support this blog. They've been doing it for 15 years, man. So a big peace and love and respect to Beat Tape Co-op, man. I'm gonna leave a link in the description of the show where you can find this project. But until then, enjoy the vibes, and we'll be right back with episode 105. Yeah, this shit groovy. Man, Hexagon, yo, killing it. All right, yo, we'll be back. Yeah. Check 1 2. Peace and love, everybody. Golden Mind here. Welcome to another episode of the Rec Show podcast, man. I am your host. Listen, we are on episode 105. Yo, man. Every week I keep saying like, yo, I can't believe I'm doing this, talking to these different mutants and things like that, man. So everybody's loving the show. So thank y'all for tapping in with us. This week, actually, let me go back a couple weeks. So last week, we had Ultra Boy, man, FABC affiliate, beatmaker, artist, Blips and Beats, curator, like he's, UC Berkeley doing all types of things, get ready to get married in a few months. So, yo, I need y'all to check that out. And also be advised, the episodes are premiering on YouTube, okay? And then I'll push the files over to the podcast DSPs. But every Sunday, 4 p.m. YouTube. Check the YouTube is going to be live, okay? And then you can actually interact as I'm playing the episode and stuff like that, okay? And then the week before that, we had the one and only Lord Stan. So, yo, everybody was loving that episode, man. He's a vet in this game, yo. People know him from Koala and doing SP44 sets and He just did what was that? Wonderville NYC the Donut Lounge performance. But yo, man, I need y'all to check out those previous episodes. All of them are in the archives, man. So one by one, I'm gonna keep updating them on YouTube. But yo, let's get to this week, man. Let's talk about our guest this week. We got a beat maker from, and I want to make sure it says New York, but it's specifically from Staten Island, right? So,
yes, sir.
Okay, Staten Island, stand up. We got a sample hunter, we got a music lover, we got a gamer. He's a 90s kid, a live performer, and at the time of this recording, he'd have performed at Everybody Wanna Make Noise Beat Show in Brooklyn, and then the Joint Custody 2 Beat Showcase, also located in Brooklyn. My man is super busy, man. He's going to be releasing the album with AMXXR called 7 Day Beloved Theory. So we're going to talk about that during the show as well. He's participated in and won his first beat battle at the Long Sunday Art and Music Showcase presented by Basecamp. Man, so we got to talk about that experience as well. Comic book lover. His sample selections is crazy, especially, Anita Baker. You know what I mean? He loves Anita Baker. That's my lady, man. So you gotta have to back up off of her, yeah. He put out some albums, man. All the beats that we're gonna talk about, some albums we're gonna talk about. So yo, without further ado, I want y'all to welcome the one and only D3signerDr3ams to the show. Welcome to the show, D3signerDr3ams. How you feeling, man?
It's an honor to be here, man. Thankful to be here. Thanks for having me. And yeah, man, I'm excited. I love discussing music, discussing cool stuff, and it's what inspires me and keeps me going, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you for the honor and the opportunity to talk music with you, man. Talk something that you love, you know what I mean? So a few things that you love, allow me to geek out with you for a little bit. For those that don't know, man, and they're gonna slap themselves after this, after they figure out, you know what I mean, they learn about who you are a little bit more. But I just gave a little bit of your bio. Can you give just a little bit, like how you even came up with D3signerDr3ams, the spelling of it, like all that type of stuff, and then any affiliations that you might be a part of as well for the internets?
Oh, of course. So I'm a software developer by day, and at my job, I got a couple of friends, and another friend wanted to do music as well. And, in the company, they have like battles of the bands and stuff, and it's usually, typical like rock bands and cover bands and stuff. But when I got into music, I wanted to do sampling. So my friend was like, oh, I need to think of a name. And I was like, honestly, me too. I had just done my first open aux, and I didn't even have a name. I didn't have an Instagram or nothing. So that was it. Like I played my beats and pretty much just left. There was nowhere to follow me. And I was like, I still want my full-time job, my day job to be like technology, to be coding. And that was always my dream growing up, to be like a computers guy, just like my dad, business casual, running out the house with a briefcase. But this music stuff was going to be like a serious hobby for me that I wanted to take seriously. And it was like my designer dream. Like I have my main dream, but then I just have like my nice to have, my fulfilling just of the value in and of itself, like designer clothes or designer whatever. It's like, it's got its own intrinsic value to you. And that's what music is to me. It has its own intrinsic value, and it's my own passion, my own, journey alongside what I do for my day-to-day job and my salary. And so I came up with the name D3signerDr3ams, is like thinking it was a cool name, but having a sort of context as like music is my designer dream, and my career is something separate, but something still important to me, And I just put the threes in there because I just thought it made it a little bit more technical looking and cool. Yeah, that's just me. That's the nerd in me, though. Yeah. That's where D3signerDr3ams comes from.
Yeah, that's super dope. I was looking at the name. I'm like, wait, it's D3signerDr3ams. You just flipped it your way, yo. So that's amazing moniker, by the way. Your album, not album, but your profile like photo. I was like, oh man, he's definitely like a X-Men comic book guy. I was like, okay, yeah, he's definitely in that mutant, the beat verse, listening to your music and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, all right. So software developer by day, beat mutant by night. Is that safe to say?
Pretty much, yeah. Now it's beat mutant by day too. I'll be doing a whole lot during the day with music. I'll be sneaking away from the computer to make some stuff, make some flyers, but it's definitely been taking much more of my time, and I've been devoting more time to it. We might get into that a little bit later, but yeah, no, it's definitely become a major undertaking, and I'm super thankful and blessed for it.
Man, I'm glad you are taking it serious, because we have conversations on this show about beat makers, music producers, composers, not just playing around with music, man, because music is not something to be played with. It's very on a spiritual level, you know what I'm saying? And when you play around with that, you open up a whole, like, that's a different conversation. But for you to be taking it serious, like what really drove you to want to take it serious? I'm not sure if you already said that or not, but what drove you to want to take it more further than just a hobby? And then it seems like it's about to be a full-time thing for you.
Yeah, great question. I just thought it would be cool. I got into making beats just from like hearing really cool stuff on SoundCloud, being inspired by my favorite hip hop producers at the time. And I was like, this is doable. Like, I know these samples. I could flip that. I'd be imagining stuff when I listen to songs and stuff. Let me just get into this. And I just started playing open auxes. I got my first piece of equipment, the 404 SX. And I just started learning how to use it. And then it just went from open auxes to being put on set lists. And from there, the pandemic had happened. So I was doing a lot of virtual shows, meeting people virtually. And then once the pandemic subsided, I started meeting those virtual people IRL. And then they started making moves. Once the pandemic subsided, like, people really wanted to be outside. They wanted to bring back beat sets, bring back beat showcases. And I just happened to be a part of that circuit. And I've been performing ever since, been traveling, doing big things ever since. Just the community is really what kept me going. Like, the great people that have blessed me with opportunities to play, and me getting to pay it forward and bring other people onto bills and stuff like that. And it's a fulfilling thing. You enter into physical communities, you go to certain places. I'm in Bushwick, Brooklyn a lot. I've been in all sorts of spaces that I never would have stepped foot in had it not been for playing or listening to beats. And it's just joining and meeting other like-minded members who want to flip samples or want to just listen to beats or want to just join a community of creatives, And I feel like the community is what really empowered me and inspires me to keep going and taking it further and further. And in terms of actual, like, full-time commitment, I actually joined a community called Building Beats, which is a non-for-profit that teaches music, production, DJing, and podcasting, as well as music software development to kids in local schools. And they're based in New York and LA, and I got to be a part of the New York team. So I've been working with kids here in Staten Island, as well as kids in other boroughs as well, teaching music production, which is super dope. That's something that I'm passionate about and that I love. I can share with others and hopefully inspire them too. So it's been a real wild ride in a mere like 3 years, but it's been a fulfilling journey and what I'm really thankful for.
Yeah, because I saw, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, but I saw you be featured on Future Sound. Let me make sure I get the name right.
Today's Future Sound.
Today's Future Sound. Yeah. So with the homie. So yeah, man. We'll talk about that a little bit. But man, so okay. You know what I mean, deciding, you know what, I can do this, man. I'm listening to this music. I know these samples. I know I can flip them. Let's go back a little bit. When you were growing up, we know Anita Baker is already on top of the list. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes, sir.
So who was playing the music in your house, and what were they playing? Or were you listening to music outside of the house, with your friends or grandparents, aunties, uncles, all that type of stuff?
So in the house, it was the parents, and they were strict. You know how that be. There was strictly 107.5 WBLS here in New York or 98.7 KISS FM. And that's really what had inspired me to, just gave me my, I guess, like, hip hop background, right? Like Luther Vandross, Sade, Anita Baker, Mary Jane Girls, Evelyn Champagne King, Diane Reeves, Diane Warwick. Like, all the classics, all the legends, Diana Ross, like the list goes on, right? The kind of stuff you hear on a Sunday afternoon. And I love that kind of music. I wasn't really even into pop like that, despite my parents saying like, don't be listening to no crazy pop or whatever. And then by the time I got to middle school, hip hop had started to become more mainstream, where you started to hear that on like the more pop stations, and that was charting more, like the G Unit era, Ludacris, all that stuff is like around my time in middle school and as I got into high school. And I started like hearing these samples, just hearing like the beats, the drums. I was like, I dig this. And my parents were same thing, like complete 180, don't be listening to no crazy hip hop, which made sense. I was a good, quiet kid growing up. They was talking about a lot of different stuff, but I started actually going to the library in high school and like sneaking into like, they had like these sites where you can like, back when they hosted MP3s on like blogs and stuff, there was like this Google-based like file crawler that can like find where the MP3s were stored. So I was listening to Lupe Fiasco, Theory Has It, Diplo, Benzi, all these like hip hop and tech DJs. I was just going to the library to like get my fix of music. I was so into hip hop, like underground, like behind the scenes. And eventually I just was hearing samples. I was hearing remixes of stuff, and I was like, this is it. Like, I remember hearing like a Cookin Soul mixtape, Ninth Wonder stuff, all like the Lupe Fiasco remix tapes and stuff like that. Just had me so hyped on like cool hip hop songs, and then the ways people flip them. Like Lupe Fiasco Pressure is still like one of my favorite all time crazy like mixtape flips. But that kind of stuff inspired me, like my whole hip hop, obsession back then. Between that, video game music, I was just constantly downloading stuff to put on my iPod Touch, put on my PSP. That's all I used to listen to until the SoundCloud era, which is like college and stuff like that. But other than that, like, yeah, I was just, once I was out of the house, once I was in school, I was getting to the library to just get more music. Like, that's all I was after, just a flash drive and DatPiff and Hot New Hip Hop, whatever I can steal albums from.
Listen.
It is what it was. I didn't have no torrenting. I wasn't getting full albums, but whatever cracked old tracks I could find, I was trawling, I was downloading, and I was bumping to hip hop all night long.
Man, y'all had to be there, yo. DatPiff era.
You really had to be there when you had to download your music, and half times it was corrupted, flooded with tags. You still used to bump anyway. Right. I remember, what was it? We Fight, We Love by Talib Kweli was like slightly corrupted. And like, it's still in my head, the corrupted version. Like, it has like an extra like skipped beat, but it's still fire to me. It's almost like a DJ stutter. And I wish I still had the file. It's so dope. But yeah, all that Mos Def, Talib Kweli, classic stuff. I got into MF Doom that way, just like actually getting into like the online hip hop community. Like, that was my rabbit hole of like who to listen to, where this all came from, right? Like, it was a beautiful journey to see the musical inspirations and the musical exposure that these remixes and mixtapes would give to you, that also linked up with my upbringing in music. You know what I mean? Like, the dramatics, what you see is what you get. No, that was probably one of my first sample catches. There was like a Kanye West graduation remix album where the Throw Some D's remix from Rich Boy or whatever samples the dramatics, what you see is what you get. And I was like, I love that song. I was like me, Leonardo DiCaprio in the chair, like pointing like that. I know that song. People don't even know that track like that. And I knew that track because I used to grow up listening to that. And I was like, yep, that was it for me. I guess that was one of those moments I was like, yeah, nah, I'm in this for the long haul.
Yeah, that was that moment, yo. Wow. Man, yo, y'all listen, internets, yo. I mean, we still got SoundCloud, we got the DSPs now, but yo, you really had to like, I think people that grew up in that era, as you know, hip hop was evolving from the beginning and becoming more mainstream, like those sites that he's talking about, you know, like BitTorrent and you know, DatPiff, which DatPiff is still alive and well, is still doing his thing. But man, like BearShare, like trying to get the music where you don't have to pay, you know, $10, $12 every month. Like, you could just go to these sites and get the music. And actually, I think, in my opinion, man, I think people enjoyed the music a lot more doing that because you had to dig for the shit. You know what I mean? Like,
For sure. It's definitely a different culture now in that there was more active seeking and active management of your music. Like now, adding to a playlist and everything is server side and cloud side. It's just like having records, but not having to pick them up and carry them anywhere. It's like you can carry as many as you want, but how much are you really going to listen to? Right. But like when you used to have to carry vinyl records to a set, you had to know your set. You had to know which records you was going to play and when. And depending on what records you brought, denoted what other records you brought, because you wanted your mix to be decisive. I mean, like concise, clean, and you want to have a flow to it. I feel like music management is just vastly different because it's so digital and it's so hands off, and it's easier and faster to learn about new music. But I feel like the passion just isn't really it's not the same, at least for like maintaining it, like favorite albums, because now people can have a favorite track, but it's just a track on a playlist because you don't have to even get the whole album. You know what I mean?
Right.
You might just love an artist off for a few tracks. And it's like back in the day, you didn't even get a few tracks unless they happened to be on DatPiff. You got the mixtape, and then you used to listen to the few things and then see what you really messed with. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
yeah,
it's definitely a different culture and a different workflow, and even mentality in terms of like learning about and enjoying and consuming music. But as long as the spirit is still there in the content, right? It always starts with the music, with the artists. And I feel like the audiences are just going to have to adapt just as we have to adapt as content creators.
Yeah, man. Say it again. It's about the music, yo. It's about the music, the artist, man, creating that experience, man. Because listen, and this is facts. Without music, we would be living a boring ass life, yo. Like let's all be honest about that. So the people that actually take the time to craft, whether it be lyrics, whether it be the beats, you know what I mean, and then them two coming together to form whatever they're gonna form as far as albums or singles, and then you got your engineers, and then you got all of that, everybody in between, the artists for the album covers, man, they are to be appreciated. You know what I'm saying? So like we just celebrated 50 years of hip hop, man. So everybody, happy birthday to hip hop, man. Something that we should be
big happy birthday to hip hop.
Big happy birthday, man.
Love
it.
They wouldn't be the same without it.
It wouldn't, man. We would be, I don't even want to know what life would be like without hip hop. I mean, we would still be probably bumping R&B heavy, the oldies.
Oh, of course.
But man, hip hop, man, changed so many lives. So shout out to the sister of DJ Kool Herc, and she's the one that got Kool Herc to do the in the park party at the basketball court. You know what I mean? So there's a whole story, man. Do you dig?
What a time to be alive, man.
Yes.
He was going crazy, and I was just so thankful because, back in June, and even hopefully this month, I got to go to actual Nitro projects and teach kids about like music production, which is really dope. So I was really thankful for that opportunity, that it was so close to like the home of hip hop. I wasn't at Cedric Avenue. I was a little deep, but actually in May, I did get the opportunity to go to a Bronx, New York Public Library and teach kids about hip hop, which was super dope, to do something in the birth borough of hip hop regarding the birthday of hip hop, which is super dope. So
wow,
closest I got to it.
Man, you right there. You can go tap in, you know what I mean, and be right there anytime you want, So listen, man. Yo, man. Okay, so my next question, because we can talk about hip hop all day, that's what we love, man. That's just one of them things. But I have to ask you about after you got that spark to be like, you know what, I'm gonna create music, man. This is what I want to do. Who was there like supporting that dream? Like who was actually in your corner, supporting you, pushing you, even when you was like, yo, this is, these are boo-boo beats, but I'ma still push through in order to get to where I want to get to?
Oh, for sure. I actually went to my first open aux and didn't play it because I heard STLNDRMS was going to be there, and it was the same day as the record fair. So that's when I first pulled up, and ironically enough, the first Beatmaker I ever heard play was Rex Mason.
Wow.
And he was at that block party for In Plain Sight, I believe. In Plain Sight was a collective run by Nothing New, another phenomenal beat maker and producer here in New York. STLNDRMS had pulled up, but he was playing like way later that night, and I ended up just not sticking around for all of that. I wanted to hit the record fair because I had some more beats to make. And I ended up hearing 1010 Diamonds and Pyramids on Instagram, super dope. And I was like, wow, all right, this is how this works. I just need to like see how this works before I start getting my own thing together. And I heard the Frenetic play, and he had a other collective he was running called Brooklyn Beat Syndicate, and they had an open aux, and that was the first open aux I went to and played. Even before it was like D3signerDr3ams, I was still thinking of the name then, but I played my first beats there, and the whole community I met there, the Frenetic, Yumi Soul, Balake Beats, Big Chef Dog, like that whole collective put me on Lennox Montrose. A lot of them are still active today, but those were the first Beatmaker friends I made. And I kept coming back to open auxes. I kept coming back with new stuff. And that was a tradition I continue to this day, just having something new, show that you've been working, show that you've been growing, and at least been passionate about what you're doing. You know what I mean? I was too nervous to come back a month later with the same stuff. So I was like, I gotta have something new. Even if I popped an energy drink and stayed up all night the night before, which has happened multiple times, just to make something new. I used to make new stuff, and they put me on the set list for February. So I started in November, went back in December, played in January, and then they were like, you're dope. And that's what really inspired me. Like, I think I went to a Wonderville show sometime within there, and I was like, I want to play at Wonderville. Like, that was my first real goal, my first real dream. Like, I want to play at Wonderville. Wonderville's super dope. It's an arcade. It's got a little bar. It's got a little outside area. It's got a little snack. And I was, because this is all new to me. I'm in Staten Island, and now I'm just running out to Brooklyn to all these different spots that I never would have known about, right? And there were actually some hip hop heads in Staten Island who ran a beer brewery called Staten Island Beer Company, and they were big hip hop heads too. All their beers were hip hop themed, and they told me about the sampler. And that's where I found out about Brooklyn Beat Syndicate's like open auxes. So like just a whole community of people who saw that I was into music, and inspired me to go further. The community has I've never met a community more welcoming, more encouraging, right? You play anything, you could play a boo-boo beat, and they would still be like, yo, come back next time, yo, hit up this open aux or hit up this event, right? And eventually you play and you find your community, you find your audience, and someone's gonna be like, yeah, that's dope, and they'll put you on a set list. And then I did the Donut Lounge over at over in the Bronx. I did that right before the pandemic hit. And then Today's Future Sound, Phil Drummond was about to come to New York, and he was like, hey man, I want to link up with you. I want to play some beats at Wonderville. That's what it was. He was going to come to Wonderville, but his flight got canceled. It was March of 2020. And he started what's called the Global Beat Cypher, which was pretty much a Zoom call that he told all his friends to pull up to instead of meeting up in New York. And it's since grown to literally a global endeavor. Every Saturday, beat makers, featured beat makers. Through it, I got to play beats for STLNDRMS. I got to meet people on the West Coast, people in the South, people in Canada, and eventually got to meet them in real life too. So just everybody in the community when I started, like, spurred me to keep going and keep doing stuff and play sets and play virtually. Everybody was getting on the virtual bag, and people were like, yo, play this set on Twitch. Yo, start streaming. Like, I just started making beats not even 6 months ago. And they're like, yo, start streaming. I was like, all right, but that's how the community works, you know what I mean?
Right.
Later on, through that, I met Vicky Cassis. Vicky Cassis and her brother, Marcus Machado, started Official QSTV, and they wanted me to be a part of it here in New York, and it's changed my life. That's one of my main affiliations, and they're still out performing nonstop. I got a show with them Tuesday. It's going to be super exciting. And they've always spurred me to, and then when you get put on flyers, when you get your stuff promoted, like, you got to keep going at that point. You know what I mean? Like, even if you're discouraged or you don't have your own faith in yourself, like, people out there believing in you, rooting for you, hoping you drop something new, leaving comments on your posts like, bro, when you dropping this, yo, do you sell beats? And it's like, no, you got to keep going. You got to just continue to get better and stronger, because you got people really rooting for you, people supporting you, and you got to do right by them at least, if not yourself. So yeah, man, everybody, there's too many to name, but Official QSTV, Donut Lounge, you know, I got to play my first Donut Lounge set in 2021, I believe. Shout out to Today's Future Sound for having me come all the way out to Oakland, you know, and getting to work with some kids here in Bed-Stuy. Got to join in a classroom setting and play some beats and learn about music production. So just trying to give back is also something that inspires me to contribute to a community that's given so much to me. And yeah, man, it's just been a wild ride. And everybody, it's not even like I had issues. It's like everybody from day one was like, you're great at this, keep going. It's not just me. I feel like so many people have been like enriched and encouraged and really blessed through the beat scene. Like people are trying to throw shows just to get their friends to play in front of audiences, you know what I mean? So it's just been such a healthy community.
Man, see, that's what this is about, man. I love hearing stories like this, man, where it's just uplifting of people, man, uplifting of the artists, whether you crochet hats or, you know what I mean, or clothing or make clothing or, you know, actually draw or paint or make music or, you know, it's uplifting, man. That's what we're supposed to be doing, I feel like. But, you know, life is a balance type of thing. But shout out to, you know what I mean, Today's Future Sound, my guy Philip Drummond. Yo, we need that episode again, bruh. But yo, shout out to Rex Mason and Nothing New, man. They've been guests on previous episodes of the show. Actually, Rex Mason started off 2023 as my first guest. So, man, I've been following him for a couple years, man. And yo, I'm so amazed by these guys. They keep evolving. I know Nothing New is about to evolve again. He's about to start on something new. He was talking about that on the app a couple of days ago. He was like, yo, it's about to be another level up moment. So yeah,
he is always moving forward. I mean, between the gear setup, it's inspirational. I mean, man, using a whole 3 machines on stage, different. And right? It's inspiring. Like, he's one of the only other people who regularly perform with the machines I perform with. And to be frank, I got a Chord Chaos pad because I was like, I want more effects on my SP. I think I might need like a Chaos pad or like an effects unit. And I got that because like Nothing New was just going so crazy with it. Yeah. And I actually didn't have a case for it until very recently, or a bag to bring it in. So I never used to bring it anywhere. I got it in like 2020 and then finally started bringing it out this year because I got a vinyl bag for Christmas for some friends. And so now I can bring all my gear everywhere safely. But yeah, no, I mean, he's always been an inspiration in terms of performance. I think he also performed at that first In Plain Sight as well. I mean, so many people performing, they introduce you to new gear, new styles, new workflows. And yeah, it's so cool to then be a part of their journeys and see how they move and then see like, oh, he was just playing off the SP before. Now he's playing off of like 2 SPs. You know what I mean? Like it's so dope.
Yeah, yo, shout out to QSTV as well. Vicky Cassis was a guest on this show. So congratulations. She had a baby recently. So and
congrats to the homegirl. She be doing the most. She be still back out here performing, releasing tracks, DJing. Nah, I mean, this is it, man. How are you not gonna be inspired when you see people just doing everything and they're like, so what you up to? Nah, you gotta do everything too. Nah, like you really just gotta be out there, especially when they're so instrumental in me even being out and performing. They're like, all right, we doing this. Who I want to play the set? Oh, we doing this. We're going here. Who's down? Like, I gotta be down. You know what I mean? Like, that's the team. That's the family. And there's so many wonderful communities out there. And just affording opportunities and just really wowing every time, like every set, every event, audiences just leave completely changed. Like they're hooked. They're like, when's the next one? You know, it's an honor to be a part of it.
Yeah, yo, shout out to the Donut Lounge as well, man. They've been doing some amazing things. I've been seeing so many acts that I've been following for years now. They going up on stage, killing it. You know what I mean? I wish I was back in Jersey, but You know what I mean? So I could just take
You gotta
the
pull
train.
up, man. I'm telling you, these lineups are getting crazier and crazier, longer and longer too. They have like 6 to 8 people at least every time. Back when I was first starting to make beats, it was like maybe 6 or 7 people tops. Now it's like 8 people at least, maybe 10. You know what I mean? In March they had the women's lineup, the all women lineup, phenomenal. I mean, just plain wild. They just had Lord Stan on one of the lineups.
Yep.
They got Say Word Stats coming up this month. Impression is coming in from Texas.
Yep.
Houston, Texas, stand up. Let's go.
Yeah,
Super
man.
excited. I was glad to get E.T. Doe on one of the events I did last weekend. Super dope producer based out in Louisiana. Yeah, man. I mean, these lineups are just getting wilder and wilder, and it's an honor to be around it.
So I'm skipping questions, but while we're on, man, first of all, everybody, internets, yo, we are talking to D3signerDr3ams, yo. All right, beatmaker extraordinaire. I don't know how long you've been making beats, but yo, like it seemed like you've been just started off in your bag and you just ain't let up, yo. So how long have you been making beats?
2019.
Wow, man.
Yeah, got my SX in 2019 and got my 555 technically on accident on the way to Donut Lounge in the Bronx. And it's
you gotta tell that story, dog.
So I was looking at it. I thought it was super cool. I was like, I'm just a gearhead. I love technology. I love classic vintage music technology. Like these samplers look cool. I even think like DJ controllers look cool. Music tech just looks and like is really dope. So I was looking at the 555. Shout out to friend Carrick. I was watching videos on that, and he had like, what was really cool about it is that the D-Beam actually gives you a free filter on top of any effect because it's like a master chain. It's at the end of the master chain. So most SPs, or at least those who know the SP line, the original classic SP line, there was only one effect you can have at a time unless you resampled it and added another effect on whatever track. But if you perform live, you can only do one effect at a time. And I like my filter, I like my delay, you know, a little chorus or whatever. But it was super cool to have like an effect and then have your filter for free. And I was like, that's kind of dope. And it has 16 velocity sensitive pads. That was way before the Mark II came out in 2021 or whatever. It has a looper pedal. It has the input for a combo TRS XLRs. You can plug a bass in there. And all these super dope like bass guitar effects and whatever. And I was like, this thing just looking fire, you know what I mean? And it was loud. It had like the lo-fi compressor that just made things sound so gritty. It was like 303 style almost. It's crazy. If you just gotta have one to know one. The 555's compressor doesn't really get much like praise or recognition, but it's a phenomenal setup. And I wanted another SP to like help master my tracks, to like EQ one sample and then compress it on another one in terms of like workflow. And I was looking at them and, you know, it's a little pricey. It's like 300-ish, 400-ish, 500-ish. And I was looking at one that was pretty decent. And I guess my headphones were like, it was a long ride to the Bronx. I'm from Staten Island. So I took the boat to Bowling Green, the bottom of Manhattan. And then I just got a ride for like an hour on one train. So I'm just like looking at eBay, and somehow I guess my headphone wire touched the phone, and I just get like a thank you text and like a thank you email or whatever. And I was like, wait, what? I bought it? And I distinctly was just like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna just take the money out of my debit, put it against my credit, because I hit my credit card. I must have hit buy it now and like also hit whatever confirmation thing, because you can't just hit buy it now and instantly have it. There's like one or two more things you got to click through. I was so lost. But yeah, and thankfully it shipped to my office. It shipped to my job on 23rd Street. And if it had shown up even a week later, I would have never picked it up in time to do all this performance. I would have still had my 404SX until 2022 when I was allowed to come back to the office. Because literally like a week or two right before the pandemic locked down the office, it showed up at the office and I took it home and started working with it. And then I was home. I was forced to work from home for a year and a half, and I was messing around with it, learning how it worked, compressing it, using it for beats. And it's been a journey to perform with ever since, man. I still perform with it today. I take good care of it. It's one of my favorite machines. It's super dope, man. I love it.
Yo, you and I want to say Lilafornia, Illifornia.
California, yes, she does use a 555.
Yeah, Lilafornia. Yeah, man, y'all, man, killing it, man. But you're right. Like we don't talk about the 555 as much as we talk about the 404 or the 303,
Right,
or any other like hardware type of joints. But man, Roland's been Roland been out here.
Roland been on it, bro.
Like,
And the Mark II, I love that it was like leaked, and everyone was like, "Ain't no way, bro! It's too perfect. It's too good." And then like a week later, it was like revealed that like, nope, it's real. Everybody had it for like 6 months. And I was like, what? Yeah. I just watched all the videos. I was like, all right, what's it doing? Oh, you can lazy trap? That alone made it worth $500. I dropped it. I was like the dude in the meme who like slams his credit card on the table a bunch of times. I was like, yep, take it. Waited 6 months for it. Came in March, and it's such an amazing machine to make stuff with. Like a lot of my beats now, I ain't gonna hold you, come out of the Mark II. But they still get sampled into the 555 because I can't drag and drop those files. They're too new. So the converter doesn't even like touch them. I have to resample every beat I make from the Mark II into the 555 manually.
To get that dust, that grit, that extra.
Yeah, it doesn't even take it any other way. So I love to just EQ it. I don't even have to go crazy on the Mark II because I can't put it on the 555 anyway. I just got to have it ready, and then I'll use the 555's compressor or the 555's lo-fi compressor or the EQ there and just tune it up and try to get that grip, trying to get that nice, some good dynamics, some good, there's good flavor to it. Still trying to hone down that sound, but I love the workflow.
Man, y'all getting game right now, man. Designer Dreams is giving y'all jewels right now. I hope y'all picking them up right now, man.
They better. I love sharing workflow tips. I love hearing people make better beats and being like, hey, glad I could help. You know what I mean? Like, there's so much in the culture about trying to, I guess, gatekeep in some ways or others. But I'm like, nah, bro, I love shit. Like, this community is so wholesome. Like, what am I doing holding back tips? Like, even when I was learning, I took a mixing course from my friend Mike Larry Draw. Shout out to him. He's out in Tokyo now, going crazy. But yeah, like my friends were only ever helpful and insightful about how to make your beats sound better. My first beats were never even compressed. I was just playing drums over stuff, and there's a vast difference. But as everything, it comes with time. But the community's really helped me grow, and I try to do what I can to help others grow too.
Man, amazing, man. That's what this is about, man. Like just each one teach one, lift each other up type of joint. You know what I mean? Like we don't have to. What's the point of hoarding information? You know what I mean? When you share their information, some new information can come back to you.
Right. Everybody wins low key. Everybody feel like they losing ground if they share it. Like, nah, bro. So what if it took you 8 years to get your sound the way it is? Just share it. You know what I'm saying? Like, we gonna learn and we gonna share it too. That's how you maintain a healthy community. Everybody want to hide. You have like a few people with good sounding beats and everybody else scrounging for it wouldn't have been the kind of place I wanted to be. And I'd just be like frustrated that nobody want to talk about how to get better at this stuff. You know what I mean? But this community has just been so helpful and growing. And even if I haven't even heard no boo-boo beats really, but even if people did, they'd be like, bro, maybe try like the compressor or like those kicks are crazy. You know what I mean? Like even whatever criticism you get is constructive and well delivered. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, listen, I gotta ask these next couple questions while we talking about gear and techniques and stuff like that. But what's one technique that you've learned over your journey that's like just changed everything for you in a good way?
Just workflow wise, I guess a lot of beat makers run up against the eventual hurdle or wall or impasse of mixing, right? The art of, do I have to find someone who's nice at mixing and mastering? Do I have to really care about it for lo-fi or the music I make? How do I make my beats sound better by just following a process? You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, you'll find a gajillion YouTube videos that'll say a gajillion different things, but the only real advice as someone who has walked this road before, is it's a process that comes with time, and it's dependent on how you want your stuff to sound. It's dependent on what you think sounds best for what you do. And it's just your own developed style. It's not like you follow these steps to make a good track, or you do these things every time and your beat's better. It comes down to fundamentals. It's leveling, EQing, and just frequency separation, whether it's compression, limiting, whatever. And like taking mixing down to just like a fundamental, like get your levels right, get your EQs managed, and manage the space in your track if you do like a lot of DAW stuff, because I'm DAWless. To this day, I still work off of only the effects on the SPs to make my stuff sound clean. So it's only my EQ, it's only my compressor. The Mark II does have some even better tools like a saturator and stuff like that. And they have different compressors on there that can serve different purposes. The isolator is really a great tactic too. So if you want to do just SP mixing / quote unquote mastering, the isolator, the EQ, and the compressors are your best friends. And as Mike Larry Draw taught me, have your drums louder than your sample, and maybe by like 6 or so decibels, and tune your compressor to what works for you. I love that sidechain. Shout out to Stolen Drums and Sidechain Society. A lot of my favorite beats were just super heavily sidechained, and I wanted that on the SP, and I'm still working on it. I still, starting with good materials too. If you want to pay for drum kits, pay for drum kits. If you want to pay for sample sources, pay for sample sources. They're well treated, they're well EQ'd, and out of the box, they're going to be super easy to deal with if you know what you're doing. If you want to be like me and use a lot of free Fugazi drum kits, you can get away with them too, because they're a great way to learn how to mix and master. But that's also the learning process. Like if you have a bunch of like super ripped out of already finished tracks drums, you have to treat those drums differently than if you got some super clean pack from the drum broker, right? And that was a learning process too. Like if you want to use Fugazi drum kits, you can make them work, but you have to get your leveling, get your frequencies, maybe pitch them up and down, maybe distort them a little bit, make them punchier, right? And trimming and distortion, like overdrive and the dist functions on ESPs are really great for treating drums. The isolator is really great for treating drums. Filtering is really important too. You gotta have your frequencies good so your drums can shine, and vice versa. But yeah, just like the mixing game has changed for me. Just learning, hearing great beats. Reference beats are important. Like if you want your things to sound a certain way, find one or a few things that sound that way, and then really listen for the nuances. How deep are their drums? What's the variation in their drum patterns? How are they put it through a spectrum analyzer? Be like, all right, where are your frequencies sitting on this really nice, clean sounding track? See if you can make that work with your track, right? But just like, yeah, just the SP only mixing game is something that is not really well explored. So it becomes just your own journey. Like if you can't find the answers on YouTube, or the answers you're finding aren't helping, you really just gotta dust off your boots, get your walking stick, and like just mess around. Be like, all right, here's a sample. Let me EQ it this way and add some drums. Let me EQ it another way, copy paste it, add some drums. Compress both, see how they sound. You know what I mean? And like that's A/B testing and just messing around is how I've gotten people are now like, yo, your beats sound clean. Like, what are you using? What DAW? And I was like, I don't even use a DAW. Like that's literally just whatever vinyl comes in on these inputs and whatever, comes in through YouTube or whatever. And I just add my same old drums. Why? Because they work. If it works, it works. And they might be like, that's the same kick from that other track. I was like, yes, it is. Because I get the same side chaining and I have the same EQ profile on my sample. And if it gets the side chain, I'm happy. I don't got to impress nobody, including myself, on doing it with different drums or fighting to make a whole nother thing work the same way with different materials, right? Or trying to treat the same stuff differently to get different results. Whatever sounds good and whatever I think hits, whatever I think people will enjoy, that's all I'm after, man. It's about the music and it's about the audience enjoying it. It's not about, trying to put yourself on some pedestal or I can do this and do that. Like, just do what works. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
And you'll learn as you go. You don't have to. Like, if the more crazy stuff you try to do, the more frustrated and disappointed you'll be, and your beats are probably going to suffer too, because you're just going to be annoyed and tired of EQing, and you probably shouldn't have even have done what you did anyway, and now your beat sounds whatever. But you got to enjoy the process and appreciate the process, and inherently your music's gonna, you know, I feel like you just got to let the journey complete itself and just go along and learn what you learn.
Man, y'all hope internets. I hope y'all picking up these jewels Designer Dreams is laying down for y'all, man. Like, you ain't even got to be on a scavenger hunt to get these jewels. He's just giving them to you free. You know what I mean? So listen, man. That's techniques. You know what I mean? That's gear that we're talking about. We got to talk about your journey and then get to talk about your albums as well. And if you're as my phone keeps going off, and if you're able to, man, we got some mutants that are on this journey of music, and they're just literally trying to figure out how to start, where to go, what they want to do with their music and stuff like that. So I ask each guest this: if you're able to, can you recommend something that they can watch, something that they can read, something that they can listen to kind of just help them along in their journey?
Of course, man. When I first got inspired to even get an SP404, I think Sarah, the Illstrumentalist, was just putting out a whole bunch of content of crazy beats, and like Little Bad Snacks was doing the same thing too. And I was just seeing all this SP content. It was just YouTube fed it to me, and I was like, I like this machine, I like how it works. But now there's not just now, even then, there were a plethora of options. You got the Akai machines, you got the Roland machines, you got the Novation machines, you got vintage stuff, you got new stuff. And I feel like it can be overwhelming to just feel like you need to have everything put together at first and then pick a machine. It's not like Pokemon where you like just pick a starter off of like something like what it looks like or whatever. You can. I kind of did that, right? But if it helps, I feel like watching Rhythm Roulette is a great way, or even just getting like a starter DAW, like getting like an Akai MPK Mini or like an Arturia Mini Lab or whatever, and like see what music making is like in the most like lightest of entryways, and then be like, oh, I want more physical control, or I like this part, like tweaking the knobs. What can I do to get that physical? Because you might not even need anything to change. You might just be like, I'm a DAW producer, I'm gonna get crazier, I'm gonna get an MPC Ren because I don't need the MPC X, I just want a controller for my computer, right? You might not need or want standalone gear. But the thing about Rhythm Roulette is you can see how different people work in different ways. And I feel like just watching that series can inspire you and be like, oh, this was cool, or I like what they made. And at least take that as a starting point. I remember I got FL Studio back in the day because I saw Ninth Wonder use it or something, or like somebody inspired by Ninth Wonder, Negrosaki, he was using FL Studio to make beats. And I was like, nah, I need FL Studio, that's gotta be the way. And it was fun, it was cool. I didn't have a controller for anything back then, and it just wasn't the same. But when I had the SP, I was like, when I saw Ninth Wonder's Rhythm Roulette and he like sampled off the records, I was like, I need a turntable. I need it. That's it. You know what I mean? And I just want people to have that kind of moment before they jump into gear. Because I had a friend who was inspired by me and was like, what machine should I get? And I was like, I think the 404SX is a great starter machine because you'll learn from it. You'll learn what you like and don't like. You'll learn your limitations and if they're frustrating. And then you can see like, all right, now I know what I want. Now I can understand the landscape better for what serves my purposes. And what did he do anyway? He bought a whole bunch of different gear. He had like 3 different samplers. I was like, bro, you don't even use this other sampler anymore. Now he uses the MPC Live. He has a Mark II. But I feel like whether you pick it Pokemon style, just pick some machine and work with it, or try to explore your own workflow and determine your own needs and wants and joys in producing, I think you just gotta find out what works best for you and take it from there. Learn from what you're experiencing, whether you're taking a controller and messing with some keys and some pads and some knobs, or you ask to borrow a homie's machine or something. Be like, bro, I want to try out this music stuff. Can you show me how to use your beat machine? Right? And you might just start with that. In terms of resources, I have some shadier links that have a bunch of like Fugazi free drums, but that's a great place to start because not only will you have free drums, but you'll learn how to mix your stuff to make it sound decent, right? You can even start with just putting drums over samples and seeing what effects do, like isolator, EQ, compressor, right? And you learn about production. There's that like long video series called The Art of Mixing, which is one of the go-to things of like just getting the fundamentals down and the methodology behind the stages that professional mix engineers use. Loop Hop is one of my favorite vids, Jade Wee, SP Vids, Non-Jur, what was it, Chaps Magazine put out the tutorial for the SX that I really lived off of for a while. Non-Jur, who else? Sarah the Instrumentalist had like a whole SP tutorial. Bad Snacks has some really great SP44 SX content. Impression has a whole bunch of Koala content for the people who want to do like Koala stuff. Koala is a really great resource too. You could probably find it cracked, or you can just pay a little $5 and it's an SP404 if you have a full-sized iPad, right? Gas Theory or whatever, like Gear Acquisition Syndrome something, is a dude who actually it's like a channel.
On YouTube. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, it's like the Asian dude on YouTube who will literally take like the SP404 and then compare it to Koala or like find alternatives that are cheaper. He's pretty cool too because you might just be like, I'm not trying to spend $500. That's fair. So you have Koala, you have things like Soundtrap and BandLab, right, to just get like a DAW workflow down, and then you could choose your Pro Tools, Logic, whatever. But yeah, man, there's just so many. I think Loop Hop is one of my favorites for the SP404 Mark II. I don't know if he has an SX breakdown, but for SX, the SP Vids and like Sarah the Instrumentalist, Non-Jur, Chops Magazine, Sample Kings has a bunch of breakdowns too. Near Tao, if you're into the Mark II, has a whole self-produced like video manual and PDF guide that's a bit easier to digest than Roland's guide.
Wow.
So there's tons of, I probably need to just send a bunch of links. It's hard to name them all off. But I mean, I studied that stuff. I mean, Near Tao was like more when the unit was in people's hands. But for day one release stuff, it was Loop Hop, Accurate Beats, Jade Wee, who else had the Mark II? SP Vids, obviously. Lightfoot. I think Lightfoot also had one too. Lightfoot Beats up in Boston. Shout out to him. Lots of really great stuff. Lots of really great resources. Thankfully, YouTube is big. SP Forums is pretty decent. I guess anybody can DM me if they want for the password to the forums. It's really stupid. But yeah, the forums are pretty helpful in terms of classic tips because they have tips from all the SP line, which is really cool. So I've gone on there for some tips and tricks that have helped. But yeah, tons of resources for literally any machine now, thanks to YouTube. So if you got an Akai, there's tons of tutorials. There's probably still Reddit forums for individual machines and for beat making. So the most you'll find on there is like mixing tips. Like everyone's always hitting them up. Like, how do you make your beat sound good? How do you get sidechain? If you really want sidechaining crazy, just get an Akai machine. Those things come out of the box with the craziest of sidechain. The Roland effects, I think, are way better than the Akai effects. If you want like a screenless workflow that's more akin to a synth or a Groovebox, the Novation Circuit tracks or the Circuit sample are pretty solid options as well. There's the PO33 if you're just plain nuts and you love super clever but super non-visual workflow.
Right.
For me, it's just, I don't know, I just haven't sat down to memorize everything on how it works, but it's still a super dope machine, and there's a huge PO community out there with tons of tips and tricks as well. And yeah, man, you'll be like everybody else soon enough with like 2 or 3 different samplers, just finding a way to make it all work.
Man, listen, so much game you just gave right now, like, listen, YouTube is your friend, everybody. Like, so just use it like you go into college. It's literally a wealth of information inside of this platform, yo. So I mean, yo, we could go on and on about that, but thank you for, you know, those recommendations. That, because that's exactly how I started. I started with machinemasters.com, showing me how to make beats with I think it was Hellfire and man, who else was it that was showing how to make beats on Machine Masters? Man, I can't remember. But yo, so okay, I gotta ask you this question, man. In order for you to like be in hip hop for so long, man, there had to be this moment, this mind blowing moment where you heard one beat or one song, and you were like, "Yo, who the f made this? What, like, how did they make this type of beat?" Like, and it just made you go crazy. What song or what beat is that for you, and who made it?
Too many, bro. Ugh, Lord. I guess I'll start with the earliest ones. What was my favorite hip hop beat growing up that I used to keep the radio on super quiet after bedtime? And I would listen to Hot 97 secretly because I was hoping they would play it. It was New York Shit by Busta Rhymes and whatever. The Faded Lady sample.
Oh.
Yeah, that one had me in a chokehold, as the kids say. I mean, that's all that would be in my mind day in, day out. And I would play my radio super quiet at like 9-10 p.m. whenever my parents were like not moving around down the hall. And I was in like middle school. Like, this is what I would stay up to hear. Because that beat was just so crazy. I loved it. And I never knew what it was for years. You know, like, that was my first one. What was it? Searching by Ninth Wonder is one of my favorites. The Little Brother beat Lovin It, the stylistic sample. Yeah, Ninth Wonder had me in a chokehold. Pimp Stroll was crazy. Show You the Way is still one of my favorite beats to go back to. Yeah, the whole Zion series. A lot of E. Jones work too. So glad he went viral in 2020 with the what was it? Dead Stock, whatever. And they had the Take 6 sample.
Right.
What else? Doom. Anytime I heard something from Doom, it took like Hoe Cakes and like all the special herbs too. Like, everything about Doom had me enamored. I was like, I'm a Doom addict. The fact that he would just release giant beat tapes, and then his stuff would be like stuff he rapped over that he produced, stuff he rapped over that other people produced. He worked with Madlib. Man had the craziest of runs. I mean, just production and rap wise, like, he was just in the right place at the right time, and he was part of why it was the right place at the right time. Like, historic. I mean, Medblue and Madlib, Bad Neighbor, such a crazy project. Cookin Soul's beats, the 4 Dilla series, the Nas, the Gil Scott-Heron tape he did. Bruh, I mean, yeah, no, I was shook. Stolen Drums, Just the Way. Yeah, Stolen Drums, Just the Way, Stolen Drums, Backpack, Stolen Drums, Looking For You. Craziest beats. I remember hearing one of the beats on like an Instagram post, and then I just trawled through his entire SoundCloud until I found it. I still listen to it on repeat. But yeah, Stolen Drums, Just the Way, the Gene Dunlap sample. It's one of my favorite beats of all time. Such like an inspiration when I first got my SX2. I was like watching all the Stolen Drums live streams where he had like the SX, which is another part of why I got it too. And I didn't realize he was just using whatever machines he had to play stuff. He had like the MPC. But like, what inspires you, inspires you. You know what I mean? Like, maybe I would have gone for a classic 2000 XL if that's the first video I saw. But, you know, it's too many crazy beats, man. A lot of stuff from the Rhythm Roulette series. A-Rap Music's one was really crazy. That Blue Magic sample he did was wild.
Oh my gosh.
The Just Blaze gospel sample one he did was crazy. Even Manny Fresh went crazy on his like Sprite sponsored one.
Yeah.
What else? Yeah, it was wild. Matt Martians did some crazy stuff.
Yeah, there's so many people that did so much crazy stuff on that Rhythm Roulette, Mass Appeal's Rhythm Roulette series, man. They came back a little bit, but it seems like they tapered off. Yeah,
I wasn't super hyped for the stuff they were doing now, and plus the production style is different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
when I watched it years ago, it was Ninth Wonder doing Rhythm Roulette. You know, now it's like, did they even get like a Hit Boy episode? I think they did some like super modern producer episode, and I was like, I'm not super hyped, just because like
it's more trappy, yo. Like
right, it's like your Zaytoven type episodes and stuff like that, and it's like I get that that's like a whole culture in and of itself, and people are definitely hyped to see that kind of stuff, but it's just not really for me. I do like the classic ones. I like Cookin Soul got one right near the end before they that had me super hyped. He went crazy on the Cookin on. Oh yeah,
because he had Benny the Butcher spit on that joint. Yo. Oh.
Yeah, bro. He just had some. Yeah, the ZZ Hill record he flipped was nuts. And just shout out to Lisa Vasquez, who did like Flip It Friday, who had her own Rhythm Roulette thing going on.
Oh, you out here? You really know this?
Yeah,
you really know these people, man.
Nah, this community, man. I mean, it's easy to lose track, but it's hard to forget, if that makes sense. So, yeah, Lisa was doing some flips. Shout out to Elijah Beats out in the West Coast too. He be doing flips of crazy stuff. He went viral a few times, got reposted by Pete Rock, got reposted by some other cats. Yeah, man. I mean, really dope production out there. But yeah, my earliest days was hearing Kanye West production, hearing all the stuff on the Lupe Fiasco mixtapes. Theory Has It, Danny Swain. Who else was going crazy? I don't even know. Just whatever beat sounded wild. Yeah, no, that Rich Boy dramatic sample flip thing. I was getting into all like I loved Steely Dan growing up, but then when Kanye West sampled him for Champion, I was like, what? That's a Steely Dan track? Wow. Lost in a rabbit hole. I was like, and now I collect them. I think I have everything but Katie Lied. I have Pretzel Logic. I have Asia. I have the original Can't Buy a Thrill. Yeah, no, their music's inspirational too. Like just in terms of their run, them being sampled by hip hop artists, like just plain crazy. But I'm a sample hunter, man. If it's a crazy beat, the Do or Die beat that Kanye West did, that was fire. The Midnight Hour beat that Pharrell did had me in a chokehold for a while. A lot of Negrosaki beats had some of the craziest flips I've ever heard. He had some really cool beat tapes too that inspire where my beat tapes come from. He had like a whole 90s flip thing. It was crazy. Shout out to Negrosaki. He's still out here. He's still doing Truth Finder series. Yeah, man. Super phenomenal stuff.
He's he's in the East Coast, right? I
think so. I think he's in the South, actually. I have to check. I ran into him when Guilty Gear Strive came out, and I had the beta, and I actually played against Negrosaki. I was like, I did beat him, but I hunted him down on Instagram, and I was like, hey, man, it's an honor. Solid matches. And like, I don't know if he ever responded. Now we're cool. Now we talk here and there, but yeah, I was super hyped to run across a fellow beatmaker and inspiration years and years down the line on a video game, no less.
Man, listen, yo, so much going on. Designer Dreams, you know what I mean, is in the building right now. We talking about music, techniques, inspirations. Yo, we gotta talk about your music, man. We gotta talk about a few albums that I was privileged to listen to and are available on Bandcamp. And then you can go also to Designer Dreams SoundCloud as well, man. Like my guy is pretty damn good, man. So listen, we gotta talk about this flip project that you did with Anita Baker's album, but then also you mixed it with Operation Doomsday, MF Doom's album. Yo, man, like what was the inspiration behind? Well, I'm gonna say Seasons Beatings was smacking too, man. So, but yeah. What was the inspiration behind Anita Villain, man?
Oh, I always wanted to do a Doom project. Once I got into this, I was like, I want to do tribute projects. I want to do flips behind my favorite raps. Because I feel like that's fun too. And it's easier to make beats for rappers to sit on or acapellas to sit on, right? But I like my Adult Swim type vibes. But I wanted to try like doing remixes, you know what I mean? And I just loved Hoe Cakes so much. I just loved like a bunch of his tracks he sampled from Anita Baker. The Been So Long sample, I forgot what it's called. I think it's like Zatar. Zatar is the one that samples Been So Long. And I was just like, no, his Anita Baker beats were crazy, right? And I was like, and then I always wanted to do the project, but then once he passed, I was like, all right, that's it. Doing a project, putting it together. Everyone's going to be doing Doom tributes, but I want this to be a really thoughtful one. I think like Kenny Beats did like a bunch of Doom remixes or something, and they were pretty decent. And then there's also like the Sade Villain that was like the go-to big thing for Doom like remixes, right? Like it's like this still to this day like one of the most respected like Doom remix projects. But it was more like mashups. If you listen to it, I can't even remember. I haven't listened to it in ages, but I felt like there were more mashups than like flipped beats. And I was like, I feel like as much as MF Doom had like more loop-based beats, I would love to have like chopped up sample material that MF Doom would make, maybe even in his kind of style, but still having my style as well, and line up his acapellas to it, right? So I planned it out. I was like, all right, I want a clean 16 tracks. I'm gonna take 8 from Doomsday, 8 from Food, and I have all of Anita Baker's discography to work with, right? When I want to do any of these remix projects, I need to have my ingredients put together, right? So I'm like running BPMs for all like Anita Baker stuff. Obviously, I have my 16 hard tracks I chose kind of arbitrarily, but I wanted half and half of like my favorite stuff, and it leaves the rest of either project to get further remixed later on, right? And so I picked my 16 tracks, I got my BPMs, and I go through all of Anita Baker stuff to find the closest stuff so I can do like quarter note, eighth note chops, get something cool together. And I just started trying to cook up some beats for different vibes, and that's how it came together. Some of my favorite ones were the Sweet Love one, the Rhymes Like Dimes remix, the Operation Greenbacks one, and I just really had a lot of fun. Obviously, some beats were more challenging to make than others. Some I was just like, all right, can I make something out of this that I like? Not feeling it. But you know, it took a while. I took a step back from it for a while, came back to it. But it was a fun and challenging project to get like the acapellas lined up. They don't always line up clean because Doom always don't be rapping exactly on
beat,
bar, because he'll lag. Sometimes he rhyme quick, sometimes he rhymes slow, and vice versa.
Right.
So you got to actually chop up his acapella, and sometimes even time stretch the different pieces just to get it to match to the beat. And I was like, well, at least one of these things has to be locked in. So I used Ableton to sequence the chops through MIDI, and then I would run it from my 4.4SX powered by MIDI into the 555 to like render it down to have like perfect loops of all my beats. And then I would like line up the acapellas. Then I would like level the acapellas versus the beat. I would like EQ the acapella versus the beat because Doom be rapping in a deep voice a lot of the time. So that's a little challenge to like get his acapellas to work clean with something. It was like a really cool exercise to be like, how far can you push the SPs to like make this work? Because yeah, it'll probably take like an hour or two in a DAW. You could just turn any acapella into whatever. But I was like, with the EQ, with the isolator, can I bump the mids? Can I like make them not sound too deep? Can I level it so that when I compress the whole thing, he still shines through, but you still get a nice healthy beat? And I mean, it's one of my first major projects. So is it beautiful? Still a little rough around the edges, but I had a really fun time making it. I was really proud of it when I put it out. And people to this day still say they really enjoy it, that they really appreciate the effort put into it. And I hope that shines through to pay tribute to one of my favorite rappers, one of my favorite styles of rap. And Anita Baker's discography is just plain cracked. I mean, just the songstress is crazy. Rapture is crazy.
Like,
I still got Rapture posted up on my wall right now. Like, yeah, man. I mean, inspiration.
Yeah.
Like, what's the other one? Songs. There's like 3. She has like 5 albums, and I had all 5. What are the names of it? Open up my music folder real quick. Where is my Anita Baker? This Compositions is fire. Giving You the Best That I Got. Yeah, Rhythm of Love too. Rhythm of Love had some pretty solid hits on there. Compositions I wasn't too crazy of, but I mean, that's usually how it goes when she had a different producer. She had the same producer for like 4 or 3 of her albums, I think, and then she switched to producers. So you could tell the difference. But yeah, no, I mean, just getting to explore her discography as well was part of the enriching experiences too. Because I was like listening to nothing but Anita Baker, and then you go down the YouTube rabbit hole and you find related music, and you're always learning, you're always growing. So it was super dope.
Man, you can definitely tell you had fun creating this joint, man. And for all my Doom fans out there, MF Doom fans, all caps, yo, man, this is definitely one of them ones you gotta check out, man. So just add it to your Dooms collection. It's definitely one of the nice. And he did something else with that joint, yo. So he had the Anita Villain, the album, 16 tracks, and then he was like, yo, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and put the Anita Villain Beats album on Bandcamp as well, man. So the beats without the acapellas and stuff like that are available too, man. Y'all need to check it out, man. Like, it's still dope. It's even doper. I mean, I like words. I like when people rhyme and stuff like that, but I just got a better appreciation for your music listening to Anita Villain, the beat side. You know what I'm saying? So what made you do that, where you just took the acapellas off and then put that as a separate album? You know?
Well, there were 2 different dates of when he passed and then when the world found out, and I thought that was clever. And also, just because I had friends who knew I was working on the project who weren't like maybe the biggest of hip hop fans, but they were so supportive. They were like, "Oh, that's super cool," and she's like, "I would love to like listen to this and like, you know, from like my running playlist or whatever," and because like they liked the beats, but maybe they didn't need to hear MF Doom rapping about A, B, and C. And I was like, and also like Cookin Soul did it with a lot of his tribute projects too. He would like wait months, and then he would just drop the beats, like just straight up beats. And I thought that was like super cool. That like that's the artwork and that's the creativity you bring to a project. And then there's like the other element of already existing work, but then you can separate out your own contribution and your own intrinsic value as like, hey, this is like an entirely me thing that like after the fact, sure, but it's still what I have brought to, you know, this marriage of material, right? And when like I knew I was going to release the beats and I was like, well, when do I do it? I guess I could just arbitrarily do it. And I was like, oh, it's December 31st. We found out we lost Doom, and I was like, all right, why don't we drop just the beats and Doom's not on it anymore, right? As like a sort of like homage to like losing Doom or like finding out that we lost Doom on that day. It's like, here's the beats without Doom. And so I just grayscaled the artwork, which I thought was a really cool idea too. I was like, if I just grayscale the artwork, it becomes an inherently different artwork, right? And it's like, well, this represents like grayscale. It's like when an option's like unselected or like unavailable in like computers, it's what, grayed out, and it's like visually shown as a different or unselectable option. And I think it was cool to bring that sort of like framework to like, here's a project with something missing, or here's a project with something excluded. You know, like there's no option there, you know. And so I thought it was a clever thing to have like the grayscale thing and have just the beats and see what people thought. And people really enjoyed it. Some friends were like, yeah, bro, I bumped just the beats. And yeah, I'm really glad people really found value in it and appreciated that. So yeah, I intend to be doing that with a lot more projects.
Yo, man, like me and my wife are big Big Brother fans. So when I saw this as I'm doing the research, I'm like, oh, so I get it. Doom's not here no more. Okay, and I'm checking the dates and stuff like that. But to hear you tell the story is it gives it even more emotion as well, man. So listen, internets, tap in, go ahead, support Anita Villain, the Beats album, but then also Anita Villain, the album with the acapellas, man. He did an amazing job on that joint. And of course, it's free 99, but you know what I mean? Throw some dollars at my man so he can keep making these dope tracks, you know? Like, beat makers need lunch money too, you feel me? So, but yo, let's talk about Memory Card Chronicles, yo. So, Chronicles Volume 1, man. This is a album with 34 tracks. right? 34 tracks he put out last August, to be exact, last August 4th. So it's officially 1 year old. Tell us about this album, man, which is bringing me some nostalgic vibes as I looked at the cover art and I'm like, yo, those are like game cartridges. I'm like, oh man, because I remember having to put them into the portable game systems, yo. So talk to me about that, yo.
So it's literally a whole ton of beats that I made for shows that I may or may not have posted, right? And then people would come to me like weeks and months later, they'd be like, bro, when are you gonna post this? And I was like, oh, you know, I'll play it, so I don't want to go like using it for a flyer, because to me it's kind of old, right? And this just started to go on and on and on, because I only had ever put out like projects, but I never released like all these beats that I would make for like shows, right? It was just Seasons Beatings and like Anita Villain at that point, right? And everyone was like, bro, you just gotta drop these tracks, just like put it together, just make a whole beat tape. I was like, you're right. I meant to do that kind of stuff, and I just got so wrapped up in making stuff that I never like planned or like archived a bunch of them or like set a cutoff point to make a beat tape out of it. And so I literally went through everything that I had posted, went through everything that I had made, got a whole list together of stuff that I wanted to release that I thought was halfway decent. And literally, I got the name from things that were just on my compact flash or SD card that I never like put out. And it was just like the memory card chronicles of like things that have been on the card that you probably heard me play live, but I had never actually formally released. So I got all these tracks together, I tuned them up a little bit, and I was like, it's just stuff on the cards. And now I just want to find my memory cards and just be like, here are my cards with my stickers on them. I put stickers on my cards on my SD cards to, you know, make them distinctive from one another. Like one might have straight Dilla drums, one might have straight lo-fi drums, one might have like my Ninth Wonder drum kit on there, you know what I mean? And then some cards are like performance cards, so there's tons of finished beats. Some are just workspaces. But I just thought it was cool that I put like Marvel and DC stickers on whatever. And I was like, let me just get my memory cards from my GameCube and my PS2. Those are all I got. So now I got to find more vintage ones and just cop some more, throw some stickers on there. Or just use other memory cards of some sort. But yeah, people loved it so much, and I was so thrown off. I was like, bro, y'all heard me play this stuff for weeks, if not months. And they're like, nah, but now we have it. Like, now we can enjoy it on our own. And I was like, you're right.
Yeah.
So Volume 2 will be coming soon. Yet again, another ton of stuff that I've either just posted on flyers or never played, or like never released. So I'll be doing that real soon, tuning that up, hopefully before like September or October. Probably October. I gotta like sit down and really go through everything again. But
that had to feel good though. That had to feel good.
It did. I remember I was at a QSTV event and they were like, when are you dropping that beat tape? And I was like, tomorrow. And then I made a point to just get the artwork together, get my set list together, make sure it all sounded clean, and then I just uploaded the stuff to Bandcamp. I was like, yep, it's out. I'm man of my word, I dropped it. Yeah, and it's been, people have really been enjoying it. People who find out about me since then just go straight there and download all this stuff and like, bro, this is crazy. I'm like, thanks. It's just, I'm so thankful because it's really just a representation of like my whole year, like just making stuff for shows and shows that I performed a lot, that I made a lot, and that people have enjoyed it thoroughly. So it's been a dope experience.
Man, yo, that joint is amazing, man. Yo, I need y'all to go tap in with STLNDRMS, man. His whole discography, I'm gonna put in the description of the show, his social media, his link tree, I'm gonna put in the description of the show. So as this is airing, you can actually scroll down in YouTube, click more, and then you can actually see all the information that we're talking about, all the links to where he's located, how you can follow him on, you know, IG and things like that, and on Bandcamp. Follow him on Bandcamp, follow him on SoundCloud as well. Yo, man, we need more love in this world right now, so I gotta talk about Be Loved, man, which, you know, my middle name is a definition or a translation for beloved, but the way you flipped it, you know what I mean, was just incredible, man. Ready your heart and mind for love, yo. Like, yo, Yo, man.
That to this day is still one of like the most requested tracks to play at shows. People are just like, this is it? Bro, what you been on? I'm like, nah, bro, I made that tape in maybe like 24 hours, not even.
Yeah, like all nonchalant. Like, yeah, I mean, I just, made it real quick, Yo.
I really had this like idea for like Valentine's Day to do a love-based tape, but not just to be flipping typical basic songs about love. I was like, love really been showing up in different ways for different people. And sometimes positive, sometimes not so positive. You know what I mean? I wanted something that was a bit more relatable in that regard, to not just have like lovey-dovey tracks or whatever. I was like, I want some songs about people being wildin'. I want some songs about passion. I want some songs about, the challenges that love brings, or like being brave, being courageous when it comes to love, shooting your shot, like stuff like that. And then I just wanted to, it was like maybe like the 11th or the 12th, and I had things are just busy at work, and I was like, you know what, I really want to put this out. It's just going to be a quick little 8 tracks. I had some ideas from stuff I wanted to sample, and I just rounded it out to 8. And I'm talking like quarter note chops, eighth note chops, and really just trying to put it together on the sequencer on the Mark II. I got like 4 tracks out the Monday, 4 tracks out the next day, and yeah, I was really proud of a lot of the tracks. One of the tracks on there I'm not super hyped about, but I was like, I got something out, and I really wanted to make the video with Max and Roxanne, because that was like something had happened around there, and I was like, yo, what was that? There's this dude, Masterminds Connect or something like that. I forgot his name on Instagram, but he does these like reimaginations of like Disney characters, but like modern day. And bro, the Goofy movie series he did was just plain crazy. And I think that's what it was. I was like, I need that like lovey-dovey like dream scene of Max and Roxanne and his crush. Yeah, Masterminds Connect on Instagram. There's like a whole like series of like, oh yeah, and I think it's actually pinned. He did like all the Goofy movie characters in like modern day. It's fire. Wow. But I was like, yeah, I want that crush scene, and I used that as like my promo, and people love that track. Like I remember I had a show that weekend, and I started off with that, and people were just locked in. They were just like, what? I was like, yeah, I just dropped the tape. Feel free to check it out. But yeah, that was my favorite ones. Shout out to Anita, man. Yeah. Anita holds it down.
You can never go wrong with Anita.
Shout out to Chapter 8. That's really wild. They really thought she wasn't it. But sometimes, we wouldn't have Luther Vandross without Change. We wouldn't have Anita without Chapter 8. We wouldn't have Alicia Myers without One Way. Sometimes you just got to get let go so you can really fly. But shout out to Anita Baker holding it down on that track. That intro has just been crazy.
Man.
And yeah, it was a fun project to make, another challenging one. Literally 2 all-nighters, but I'm really glad that it resonated with a lot of people. They liked the titles, they liked the subject matter, and I really liked my Average White Band sample for that one too. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Man, I gotta read this in the description. Like, so on Bandcamp, internets, you can actually put like information behind the album. Like the artist can actually just type out their feelings, their emotions, give you a little bit of background or the whole background about the album or the project. So and I'm quoting D3signerDr3ams right now. He said, this goes out to those blessed with happy, healthy relationships, those who have been done wrong, those who are discouraged / afraid, and everyone else going through it, man. Like, why was it important for you to, to put that in there and just to, just shout them out? Like, we know everybody's going through something. There's nobody that's not going through something while we're here on this earth. So why was that important for you to express that?
Because I myself am a fairly single man for my entire life, and for a lot of single people, Valentine's Day and that whole thing around it, it doesn't start in February, end of January, you see all the red, all the pink, all the chocolate go on sale, all the flowers getting shoved in everybody's face, all your couple's friends, they can't hang out like that because, they got to all do something big for Valentine's Day. And you're sitting there feeling even more single than usual. For for everybody who's been there, right? And that has been me for a good long while. So I just felt like Valentine's Day don't always hit for everybody. And I feel like so often it's ignored because everybody in relationships can't ignore it, right? They gotta take care of their significant other. And then all the single people, and yeah, sure, there's singles events. Yeah, sure, there's like mingle events. You know, everybody loves to throw a little like mixers and speed dating and stuff like that. But that could just be like overwhelming and like obnoxious to have shoved in your face. As someone who's single, or at least for me it is. Some people love to see it as like a fun thing to do. Some people are going through it on the dating apps. The dating apps are a whole nother can of worms. And I just felt like so much about this supposedly huge positive thing of love, and like there's so many people out there who don't feel super hyped up, super happy. Some people are just plain frustrated and annoyed by like having to tough out Valentine's Day weekend again, or maybe they just went through a breakup, or maybe they're in a toxic relationship where they just realized maybe they should have left instead of having to spend all this money and time to end up in a thing that's going to blow up soon, right? There's just so many different situations that never get acknowledged. And I just wanted people to feel seen. I wanted it to be a relatable project, not just because of love, 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 but like, you know, love isn't just this typical one-liner definition that everyone tries to stick with, right? I think love is a lot of different things at a lot of different times and shows up in different ways. And I wanted a project that sort of acknowledged that and leveraged that, rather than just being like, here's a Mariah Carey flip, here's a Luther Vandross flip, here's a, you know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted it to be more artistic, and I wanted it to be more relevant and relatable, because I feel like something you can relate to, you can enjoy, even if you're, you know, single and miserable, or single and happy, or single and just not knowing how to feel around Valentine's Day, right? Or maybe you're in a relationship and you want something that's not like in your face, super lovey. You want something different, something that talks about the other things of love that nobody talks about, right? I just wanted something that really spoke to what never really got spoken to.
Man, yeah, you did an amazing job, man. This can be played not just for Valentine's Day, any day of the week, man. Check out Beloved, man. I really, I mean, I'm married, but you still like, I still listen to love songs and stuff like that, man, where it just brings those emotions. Especially, I just remember being single, you know, traveling and not having anybody in those specific times of joy, times of sadness, you know, stuff like that. But man, I really appreciate how you think about how you release your projects, man. And I know a lot of my guests do. They put in that time to think about, okay, what's this album about? What's it, you know, what the album's going to look like? You know, the thought process behind the music, and you know how you want people to receive that music. Do you feel like that's important for you to actually go through that process as you release music?
Every time. I mean, some projects are different than others. Like a beat tape, you don't have to sit down and study and go crazy over, right? But I think like my intentional projects, because I want intentional projects. I want hip hop and what I do to be an exploratory and enriching tool culturally, you know, sonically. I want it to have value. I want it to add something to the listener and have them experience or be exposed to something new in a positive way. Like when I one day maybe finish my Jay-Z project, I want the culture behind the movie and the album to really be like further explored and understood and appreciated. Like the American Gangster album being one of the first like albums that were tied in with the movie. Like Jay-Z was inspired by the movie, and he related to a lot of the business and the stuff in there, and he did an album on it. And I thought that was one of the coolest like types of project that I wanted to do. And I was like, well, I might as well pay tribute to this somehow. And I have a few flips that people have probably heard a few times. I haven't posted any of them, but I did post a teaser on the one teaser I posted a year ago till Sunday. I posted it on August 20th, and I tried to tease that I was going to be done with it soon. It's been a year. I haven't worked on too many more flips, but you know, it'll come along. But like if I do remix projects, if I do intentional projects, it's because I want people to learn more about the sample material, more about the artists that are being showcased in the music, and hopefully my style of beat making helps to helps to make it enjoyable, helps to make it intriguing and fascinating and inspiring. And some you could bump in the car, some you could listen to while you're cooking, laying down, getting ready for bed, whatever the vibes are. You know, I try to have something that fits that space rightfully and actively, rather than just being a ton of stuff just put out because, oh, I made these in the past 2 months, or, oh, I made these beats and didn't sell them, so now they're just a beat hit. You know what I mean? Like, there's enough of that content out there. There's enough Spotify playlists. There's enough passively available music. But if I drop a project, I want it to mean something and represent something, you know? Or at least that's what I want my music to be.
Got you, man. Listen, I appreciate the process, what, you know, everything you go through to actually put your music out, and I appreciate the music even more hearing the stories now, man, which is why we even, you know, I even started this show, was to get more background information. You know, what were you going through? What was the emotion behind this track or this album? You know, like, that's the stuff that we don't normally get from creatives that are not at, you know, in the mainstream, you know, $1 million behind them, all that type of stuff. But, you know, my beat makers, we got stories too, man. We got stories, we got emotions that we trying to get out, you know what I mean? And we want people to, you know, feel those emotions as we were creating that music or that piece of art, stuff like that, man. But man, I'm gonna combine 2 questions into one right now. All right. And you know, you're a big comic book fan, you know what I mean, a big X-Men fan. And if you can, I ain't gonna put 5, I'm gonna put 10. I'm gonna put the number 10 on there. If you had to, can you name 10 superheroes, whether it be beat makers, music producers, or composers of any genre, and what X-Men character would they be?
Man, Stolen Drums would be Forge. Making them superheroes is tricky. Let me see. I might have to break this down.
You gotta make them superheroes.
All right, let's say Stolen Drums, Cookin Soul, Ninth Wonder. Ninth Wonder got to be Professor X.
Yeah, gotta be.
Yeah, he'll be Forge. Cookin Soul will be Beast because he just be going crazy. Negrosaki can be my Wolverine. He holds it down. Who else goes crazy? Pete Rock can be my Cyclops in terms of my inspirations. All right. Sarah, the Illstrumentalist. She could be the Jean Grey. Bad Snacks can be Rogue.
Yeah.
That's 7. Who else? Negrosaki. I watch so many content creators and I'm like, who are the producers? Who are the people who be holding shit down, making crazy beats? Thinking about my favorite. I just keep going back to Ninth Wonder and Cookin Soul. Knxwledge is like a big, more recent inspiration. He could be Iceman. Who else we got? We got to have somebody be Colossus. Who's a good Colossus producer? Mac Miller. Yeah. His production was really inspiring. I think 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right.
We gotta throw you in there, dog. So let's see. We gotta throw you in there, dog.
Me?
Yeah, we gotta throw you in there, dog.
Sheesh. I guess I'll be Cable or something.
Cable.
My homie Cable goes crazy.
Man, listen, yo.
Keep that thing on them.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Listen, yo, but when I ask this question, like, Yo, we named so many other people, so our inspirations, the superheroes, but yo, man, like you gotta put you in there, man. I know you probably don't feel like it, but yo, man, like you a modern day superhero, man. You know what I mean?
I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
You know what I mean? You working on this side, you creating on this side, you performing on this side, you creating posters and out, like, yo, you doing so much, man. Like superheroes, man. I appreciate y'all, man, for real.
Appreciate you too, man. It's an honor to be doing this stuff. Like at first it was all just like fun. I had all the time in the world working from home. I was like, I could play some MAME, I could record some footage, I could make a little beat and post something behind it. And let me tell you, my time is much differently managed now. I ain't got the time for all of that. I ain't got the space on my computer for all of that. I'm running out of space again. I just took 2 people's visuals for a set I gotta go to. Like it's work, but it's an honor and it's a privilege and it's a joy. So no, thanks that you're out here appreciating it and like seeing that it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes and goes into what you see posted and stuff like that. So absolutely, man. So as we round this out, man, 2 final questions. I'm gonna say 3 just in case you throw me one as you talking. Bet.
What's the one you've been creating for a little while now? So what's the one thing you wish you knew before you started on your music journey, yo?
The one thing I wish I knew before I started. What did I find out that I wish I knew? No matter what you make, there'll be an audience for it somewhere. You just gotta find it.
That's deep.
Because so many people are so afraid to make what they truly want to make, and they make stuff to just get out there. And I did too. A lot. I mean, I guess that'll happen to everybody inherently, right? You hear stuff that you're truly inspired by, and some of your earliest beats are going to be emulations, right? They're going to be make a stolen drums type beat. Like type beats are a way of learning too, right? People make bread off of type beats, and that's fine. But make what you want, and don't be afraid of it not hitting, because if it doesn't, it just hasn't reached the right ears, right? There's some music out there that I wouldn't even call music, but you know what? They got shows booked, they got performers getting paid, because if you build it, they will come, and if you make it, somebody will listen, and somebody amongst those listeners will find it fire, right? Whether it's a boo-boo beat, whether it's a beat you don't think your audience is going to be that into, someone's going to find it, right? A lot of today's superstars were people who are still making beats off of iPod headphones, mics, and like recording with a little guitar in hand off of some basic stuff. But if you make it, you'll find your audience, man. And so just make what you want to make.
Man, you sounding like Big Stowe right now, man. Big Stowe out here giving gems all the time. Gotta shout out Big Stowe real quick. Yo, okay. You got crazy beat sets coming up. Oh man, we got to talk about the beat show, the beat showcase that you won, man. You actually won that beat show. Tell me about that, man. I got to go back and what was that? Long Sunday.
The longest Sunday ever. Yeah. So shout out to the longest Sunday ever. Shout out to Rose Crib Studios. Shout out to Malachi Productions, Barack Obama for having me. And they were going, Malachi actually reached out, said he wanted to throw an event, told us later on it was going to be a beat battle. And I was like, I'm not really a beat battler. I feel like I was swindled into this. But, you know, I held it down for the homie. And then ended up being myself and 3 other dope producers, Save the Savior, Jay Perez, and Malachi himself. So they gave us 8 songs that we had to flip by the time the show happens. We had like 2 or 3 weeks to do it. And we flipped everything from Tweet, Oops Oh My, to like George Benson's Breezin', SWV's Use Your Heart, Mountains by Georgia Day Wilson. I think that's her name. Okay. We flipped some Jermaine Jackson, which was super funny because if you've ever watched Ninth Wonder's Rhythm Roulette, the running joke is that Jermaine Jackson ain't really doing too much.
Yeah,
he didn't really like that record and still ended up making something crazy.
Right.
So whenever I see Jermaine Jackson, I just remember he ain't doing too much. But and then like 2 other tracks, Bee Gees and some other stuff, right? And
Jermaine,
I had some challenging ones on there, some fun ones on there. But by the time I drove over to North Brunswick, sat down while they had the comedy show going and made 3 more flips. I only had 5 done by the time I pulled up. Your boy's a little bit of a delinquent. I had a busy month. Tons of other shows before then. So I was just making stuff. You know what I mean? It's weird when you're told to flip something. I don't know about y'all, but part of why I don't battle is like I don't like to be told to flip something because then I just have to make an idea rather than have it naturally come to me. But you know, we ball. We made it happen. And I went up against Savior the Savior. Malachi went up against Jay Perez. Jay Perez took that one. They really did their things. And I went up against Savior the Savior. It was so heated. They went to we did 2 flips. I played the tweet flip head for head. And we played the, what was it? I can't remember. And then we played, it went to a 3rd one. It only went for 2 flips on Malachi's round, but the 3rd one we played was Bee Gees. And I ended up taking that round. So I had to go up against Jay Perez and they gave us a final surprise flip. And they were asking the audience what song they would want us to flip. And they said some wild stuff. They said Dance Gavin Dance. They said some other stuff. They were in like a weird rock vibe for a little while. And the DJ of the event said, flip Beastie Boys Intergalactic. So the both of us had 20 minutes or so to flip Intergalactic by the Beastie Boys, which is challenging enough. It's already an established rap song. And it's also just mainly a beat. Like it's just a break beat behind and like a little bit of the organ behind them rapping. Just like, man, pulling teeth. But I tried to make it happen on the Mark II. I brought the Mark II with me. It was the first time I've ever openly performed with the Mark II because I'm not actually playing a beat set. I'm playing battle beats. And all I just got to do is play off the stuff that I would make stuff with. And people really enjoyed it. And while I was speaking to the owner, they were like busy voting. It was audience voting on who won the battles. And the audience voted for me and I ended up taking it. So it was an honor. It was a pleasure. And yeah, man, it was a fun time.
Man, yo, listen, was that your first beat competition, beat battle?
Yep, that was my first real beat battle.
So you were about to go into, I think 2 or 3 more within the next, between the time of this recording and then the next 2 or 3 weeks, right? So how are you preparing?
Oh, no more battles. I'm just I think they're all just sets. They're just sets. They're not battles.
Oh, okay. All right. So how are you preparing for your beat battle? Beat sets.
I'm just always making new stuff. Literally just always trying to make something new. Always trying to just get some samples down. I'm always listening to music, whether I'm working, whether I'm traveling, whatever. I always just save stuff to YouTube playlists. I still got tons of records to go through. But that's it. I'm just always listening to something and trying to figure out a little loop, a little chop here and there. And yeah, man, just trying to make stuff happen. And just always try to be ready with new stuff. I might bring some stuff off the projects too. I feel like when a project comes out, I'll play stuff from the project and then I go back to like making new beats, and then like the project stuff takes like a back seat. But I definitely want to bring out more project beats, more remixes. I just did a remix for One Beer by MF Doom that I'm really proud of, so that's definitely getting played. I think tomorrow's event that I just got tapped to do, it's gonna have like a freestyle cypher, like an open mic cypher thing. So I'll be making some little 8 and 16 bar loops for people to rap over, which should be some fun. When I get back from tonight, aside from playing the Mortal Kombat 1 beta, but staying inspired is how I really, stay prepared to keep making stuff for new gigs, right? So Mortal Kombat 1 beta got released. I'm gonna play that for a little while, play some video games, get some visuals going, and then I just like sit down with the sampler with a little beverage of some sort, maybe a soda, maybe a beer, and just like get to it. You know what I mean?
Right, man. Listen, favorite video game
of all time? Oh man, I mean, if I had to just pick one arbitrarily, it would be Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Just because the Marvel, the Street Fighter, the fighting stuff, and just finding it as one of the most fun fighting games I've ever played. The most exciting I've ever played. The music in it is crazy. It stood the test of time. Anybody who plays fighting games will easily agree. Just like people who know Doom, like swear by Doom. People who play fighting games swear by Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And it's just so analogous, in both those venues. Like something just really timeless, just really inspirational, and just really stood out for its time and stands the test of time. It's still tournament grade today. All the tournaments will still have some Marvel vs. Capcom 2 going on. Professionals still play it. There's still a huge scene around it. Yeah, that's one of my favorites. But right now I've been playing a lot of really great adventure games. Ghost of Tsushima, God of War is really fire. I'm playing the first Spider-Man to get ready for the second Spider-Man. And there's tons of fighting games out. So Mortal Kombat 1, Street Fighter 6 I've been really into lately. And Tekken 8's coming out this year too. So really excited for the fighting games coming up this year. And yeah, man. But yeah, MVC2 is one of my favorites to just boot up and run a few rounds in for old time's sake.
Man, yo, so if people want to, go head to head with DatPiff, man, how can they do that, yo?
You can probably find me on PS5, Xbox. I do play Street Fighter 6. I will be playing Mortal Kombat 1. I play MVC2 on my own emulators. I don't have online. I mean, I could probably set up what's the one, Fightcade? I know Fightcade is a way that people play all the classic games online. I might have to set that up. I'm pretty decent at MVC2, but I know real cats can probably still cook me, so I ain't ready for all that yet. But I'm pretty nice at Street Fighter 6. I'm pretty nice at the classics as well, but I don't really be playing those online. I'll play those with the homies if we hit an arcade. And I hold it down there too, but yeah, I don't play the classic ones online, but I'll have to set up a Fightcade and release that on Instagram and see what happens.
Yeah, I'm learning about Street Fighter 6, so I'm like going through each character and their moves and all that stuff. But my girls hear me going crazy as I'm learning, getting my butt kicked by what's the dude with the cane? He like suited and
oh, JP, yeah, nah, JP crazy. I think JP almost won Evo. But yeah, I think who won Evo? Oh, Ken won Evo. But yeah, they had a really great JP in the top 6, which was pretty dope. I'm a Jamie main, so I've been going through it. But I try to make it happen when I pull up in the fight hub.
All right.
Man. But yeah, no, it's a fun game. I'm really trying to take it a bit more seriously. I got my fight stick. I'm trying to get clean with it because Evo was great to watch. I don't know if you watched it, but Street Fighter 6 was crazy this year.
Man, so final question, man, for DatPiff, man. How can the internets, tap into everything that you're doing? How can they find you? What do you have coming up for the rest of 2023?
Great question. Honestly, just tap in with my Instagram. That's where you'll find my latest beats, all my flyers, my link tree to my Bandcamp. I'm a pretty low-key guy. I'm a pretty chill guy, so I really don't have anything that I really diligently maintain as much as my Instagram. I'm easily reached, and all my content is easily viewed. There, it's D3signerDr3ams. And if you Google anything that is spelled remotely like that, you'll find my Bandcamp, my SoundCloud. But all my latest and greatest stuff is going to be mentioned or posted on my Instagram, either on my stories or just on my feed. And yeah, man, tap in. I'm easily reached. I'm always down to grab a beer, grab food, make beats. You know what I mean? I'm not really like a seller of beats. I just sell my projects. I don't really work with rappers like that. But if you're about beats and you just want to vibe out, I'm in.
Got you, man. Listen, we talking to DatPiff, man, beatmaker from Staten Island, New York, sample hunter, music lover, gamer, live performer, beat showcase with beat battle winner. Man, I forgot to ask you about this new album you got coming out.
Yeah, my upcoming album will be, I got a bunch of stuff. Memory Card Chronicles Volume 2. will eventually be put together at some point. I'm gonna drop some more remixes that I'm starting doing because I've been opening some rap packs that I'll actually be posting a bit more about once I get the post together. But I'm gonna be doing a bunch of remixes, and the first one will be Kid and Play, Getting Funky. So I'm redoing that, making a beat for that. And I'm gonna be doing a whole bunch of super vintage hip hop artists remixes for the 50th anniversary of hip hop. So I wanted to get some rap packs together, some Yo MTV Raps cards. I know they might not be able to see the visuals, but work. There we go.
I see it. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I got some of that, and I got the Yo MTV Raps ones too. So I want to do some remix projects on those. American Gangster redo is still in progress. I'll be doing another Doom project. I'll be doing a Nas project. I'll be doing a Kendrick Lamar project. I got a whole bunch of really crazy ideas. Some I can't even explain quite yet, but everything's in progress. Everything's, my workflow is getting a little bit faster, a little bit more streamlined. So plenty of projects coming down the pipe, and of course more posts of just loose beats as well. So
man,
stay tapped in. Hit the Instagram.
Stay tapped in to Designer3ams, man. I'm super excited for the projects and the things you have coming out, man. I know like it's mutual. Like I know I've been seeing you pop up on my stories, the Rec Show podcast stories and stuff like that, man. So I know you've been supporting me and the podcast, man, and vice versa, man. I'm supporting you, Designer3ams, what you got going on, man. So listen, this is not a one-way shit, man. Lo, you got something coming out? Let me know, man, so I can put it out, put the bat signal out so that people can tap in, you know what I mean? And
I better be tapped into Yikes too. Yikes was fire, man. Super dope project.
Man, I appreciate that, bro. I didn't even know, bro.
What do you mean I didn't even know? That's your tape.
Yeah,
that's crazy. You didn't even know you dropped the fire tape. Nah, Yikes was dope, man.
Man, thank you, man. Yo, so Designer3ams, any final thoughts for the mutants out there in the beat multiverse, yo?
Nothing much, man. Just keep doing what you're doing. Find joy in the process. Find your community. Find your homies. And keep having fun. As I say at the end of all my posts, stay blessed, stay safe, and happy sampling. Happy sampling.
Yeah, man. So that is the episode number 105 with Designer3ams, man. I want to send peace and love and a big thank you to Designer3ams for allowing me the opportunity to spotlight them, chop it up with them, have a good conversation about music and everything that goes inside of music creation. And shout out to everybody he named, QSTV. Shout out to the Donut Lounge, Wonderville, NYC. Shout out to Today's Future Sound, man. Shout out to all of the collectives, man, out there in New Jersey, New York, California, Florida, Chicago, we Toronto, in the UK. You know what I mean? With the homie Dusty Ohms. It's a lot of people doing some amazing things. So we just need to support them and helping them share that joy, man, with others, because creativity is the ultimate expression of the Most High, man. So, yeah, man. I'm going to leave y'all like that, yo. So, yeah, man, if you liked what I did, if you liked the show, you get any value from it, man, consider supporting the show. There's a support the show link in the description of the show. Just scroll down. And as always, thank you in advance. And we will see you on another episode of the Rec Show podcast. Big peace and love, yo. Bye, 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 bye.